Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming today. I'm Jeff Lynn. I'm Tribridge's Chief People Officer, and my team handles recruiting, HR, the Tribridge Academy for our team member learning and training and development, and team member engagement events that we hold throughout the year. I'm pleased to be introducing Tony DiBenedetto, our founder and CEO, who'll be making our announcement today. Tony and Tribridge have been active in building the business community in Tampa, especially the technology sector, ever since Tribridge's founding 15 years ago, and we're going to continue that track record today. Tony?
Thank you. Oh, we didn't practice that part. I got to say, we haven't done a lot of press conferences here, so this room looks foreign to me. I have no idea what it looks like. So, first, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to come visit with us. We appreciate that. But before I do the announcement, I'd like to really acknowledge some of our elected officials and some of our community partners. I had to have a few notes because my team's very worried about what I might say on camera. The first one, somebody I know pretty well, is Mr. Alan Brinkman. Alan is the CEO of SunTrust Bank and the chair of the Tampa Hillsborough EDC. We also have with us Councilwoman Suarez with the City of Tampa. We have, of course, Mayor Bob Buckhorn of the City of Tampa, of course, Commissioner Mark Sharp with the county, and Tim Vanderhoff with Enterprise Florida. So I wanted to say very much, not only thank you for Tribridge, but you guys do a lot in our community. You guys are building certainly the economic force that we have here, so thanks for being here today. Let me just jump right into the announcement. I'm not real rehearsed on how you're supposed to do this, but I am pleased to announce that Tribridge has plans to expand our operations by creating 200 new jobs over the next 3 years just in Tampa and Hillsborough. Now, I don't know how much you guys follow Tribridge, but we're a fast-growing global technology company, and we'll hire 400 or 500 people over the course of the next 3 years. And as we worked with the partners that I'll acknowledge here in a minute, it was very important as we worked together to try to keep a disproportionate amount of those jobs and create those jobs here locally. It was a really big deal to the partners that are here, and it was a really big deal to me being the CEO and one of the founders here at Tribridge. We anticipate the 200 jobs. They're very high-paying jobs. The one thing about tech jobs, as you guys know, they're at a different wage scale than a traditional average job, so we're well above the high average. And it really will help, what I would say is help Tribridge grow our global brand and our technology services platform. There's two, I guess I shouldn't walk around much, but I'm kind of Italian, so I got to do this a little. There's two main areas that will focus on most of that job growth, and I think you'll appreciate both of those. One of those is the cloud, which I'll describe that little business for us in a minute. And then the other one's our human capital management division, which again, I'll describe here in a second. Now, our cloud business, we call it Concerto. We call it Concerto Business Services, and I'll just do a very quick overview. That business helps companies across the globe. We have companies in Europe, the US, Canada, Mexico, et cetera. Really, I'd say navigate this idea of how to use the cloud. The cloud's one of those things people talk about and say, I'm in the cloud, but they're not really sure what they're in, like the commercials. And we help them figure out, is it the private cloud? Tribridge offers a virtual private cloud. Or is it taking advantage of all these public clouds that are out there? Microsoft Azure, Salesforce, et cetera. And so Tribridge has a whole division focused on helping clients do that. That division alone has been growing at over 100% a year for 3 years, and all of those team members today live in the Tampa area. They help global companies, and they live here locally. The second part of the business that we'll invest a lot in, and you'll see a lot of the growth for us, is in the human capital management business. And in that business, for those of you that are not familiar with it, many of you may be, think about all of the HR functions of a business. Think of recruiting. We call it e-recruiting, right? Think of learning and learning platforms. We call it learning management, performance management. All of those functions now are automated for global companies. And we're helping them roll out this suite of solutions in the cloud with a company called Cornerstone On Demand. We're the world leader, believe it or not, right here in Tampa in Cornerstone On Demand solutions to both large companies and small and medium-sized companies. Now, the cool thing in my mind about the 200 jobs that makes me feel good is we feel like not only are we developing people for Tribridge, which is obviously my number one responsibility, but we're also helping bring talent to this area that other technology leaders and other companies are going to take advantage of. And that may not seem important on the surface because I should be real greedy and focus on my own company. But not every single person, I'm sure, of the 200 will love it, Tribridge. But there'll be an opportunity here because of the other companies that are successful here to work here locally, pay taxes locally, and drive the economy. And that's real important to me. When Jeff said, I've been doing this for 15 years, I've actually been in Tampa for 30 and been helping drive these kind of efforts for about 30 years. So I guess that's a good segue to my bullet. I should read the bullets. The other cool thing for me, you could say I'm a little casual and excited about this area, is the folks that started this global company all live here. In fact, 2 of the 3 founders, not myself, were born in this area. 2 of them still live in this area. I still live in this area. So all 3 of us still live here locally. We're very passionate about what happens locally. And I was mentioning this to Mark and Bob here just a few minutes ago. I think you guys might be surprised by how much help we've gotten from the community. And I remember Bob Buckhorn when he was on the city council at the time, and I remember him before that when he was lobbying to get on the city council. And all I can remember is him always trying to help. And that'd be the same for a whole lot of people out there. So I think I said this to Alan Brinkman. I said, we had competitive CEOs, Mark Blumenthal at the time, ask if we could use their conference room for us to sell deals and use their conference room to train our people when we first started because we couldn't afford this kind of space. I don't know that if you go to New York or Chicago or LA, which are all great cities to visit, I don't know if you get that kind of community to help build a company. I can tell you, after 15 years, when I look back, it's all about the help we've gotten. Hey, we've done some things good. We got a whole lot of help from a whole lot of people, some of which are in the room today. Despite all this growth, I guess I wouldn't call it a cautionary tale, but I would say one thing that I think about is there's a lot of work left to do. And when I say that, I think about, I sit on a ton of boards. I visit clients all over the globe. I sit on some panels with guys like Bob Dukowski and others from Tech Data. And we all talk about the same thing. There's a talent gap for us in the high growth space. And I don't care if it's technology or not. If you're in a high growth industry, you're looking for talented people. You're trying to keep your A players, but you're really trying to look for talented people. And a lot of us have been kind of banging our heads over just different ideas. One of the major ideas we were throwing around over the last year on these panels is really collaborating with state, local, and federal government to make it happen. And a lot of people think that's a crazy idea, you'll never get stuff done. Today's announcement is about that partnership with all the folks that I mentioned earlier, which I got to mention again, I think it's on my list. But it's Enterprise Florida, it's the county, it's the city, it's the state of Florida, all working to help Tribridge get 200 new jobs here that, frankly, we would not have done. We would have done less jobs, and we certainly would have done less jobs here. And so when I think about what we need to get done, I think we're starting to crack the code. This is a good example. It's been done with some other companies as well, but it also requires a big investment from Tribridge. We can't just work on a partnership and not invest a lot. One of the things we've done, I think that's different that I've shared with other CEOs, we've invested very heavily in our own learning and development. And so it's not about just hiring people, it's about taking both experienced hires and college graduates. And for the experienced hires, it's teaching them new technology. And we've got online tools to teach the new technology. And for those college kids, which some of us have that are graduating, many of you just looking around are almost old enough to have college kids, they're all looking for a job and they don't have any skills. And coming to a place like Tribridge and learning about the cloud, learning how to be a professional, learning how to dress. I was commenting, I didn't know how to dress for a long time, but certainly not at my first job. And so it's an opportunity for us to train that next level of workforce. And I know it seems weird to be that excited about it, but I really am. Because I think it's a legacy that we can all leave for our kids and our kids' kids. Because I believe when I look out and I think about what we've all accomplished here, we're building the future economy. I don't know if everybody realizes or believes this, but I know I do. We're creating a brand in the world that Tampa is a high-tech place. And that brand, we have to first see it. Today is seeing it. We're doing a press conference so they can see it. 2, you've got to believe it. People listening got to believe it. And then we could take advantage of the brand and really build that next generation of economy. I believe 10 or 15 years from now, the #1 employer in this area, in Tampa and Hillsborough, will be technology companies. And it's because of the kind of efforts that you guys have put forth here today. So listen, thank you so much for coming. Hopefully it was worth your time. Next up, I think, is Mark Sharp to give us a few comments. I hope I got that right. Sure. Is that right? Okay. If I'm not right, then it's somebody else.
It's an honor to be here, Tony. Thank you very much. This is a really exciting company, and I just want to say, for the Board of County Commission, my compatriots over in the City Council, Mr. Suarez, we're very well together, the mayor and others. You talk about talent development, tech jobs, bringing them to Tampa Bay. That's our mission. That's our purpose and passion. And Tribridge is doing that. And so with the 600 jobs that you've created, plus the 200 additional ones that you're going to create, you're going to help Tampa Bay, make its mark. The president of Stanford University was just saying not too long ago that we are just at the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what's going to happen in technology. The jobs that are going to be created, everything that you do. When the guy that left Apple to go come up with that little thermostat, the Nest company that he created, can literally move mountains and command billions of dollars. You know that every product, every item, everything is going to be connected to tech. And we want to have the companies that are either making the products or servicing those products right here. And so when you go and talk to kids, as I do all the time, I talk to high school kids, college kids, I teach a college class. I've got a young man, my son who's heading into college, going to Wheaton. We talk about where are you going to live, where are you going to work, what are you going to do? Well, I want to be able to say you're going to come right here to Tampa Bay and work for the best company on the planet. So, Tony, thank you very much.
Give me that resume.
Man, I tell you what, I'll be funneling the resumes to you. But thank you, Tony. Thank you, Mayor, and all the rest of you. Honored to be here. And let's onward. Thank you, sir.
I have known Tony for a long time. I can remember when I first started trying to understand what this technology was all about and what this whole, and bear in mind, I was a politician. I was not a technologist. I had no idea what he did and what this emerging community was all about. And so when I first set out to try and learn, you had just started this company, and the Tampa Bay Technology Forum had just started, and there were guys like Tom Wallace and some of the others that were providing the seed capital for younger guys like you to get started in this. And I just hung around. I would just hang around with these guys and say, how is it that government can help you? Not knowing in any way, shape, or form whether we even could be helpful or whether our best option was to get out of the way. But I knew that there, over time, could be a partnership in there, and I knew there were things that government could do to help entrepreneurs to be successful. Part of it is to use this pulpit that certainly I have been blessed with for the last 3 years to set a tone and a tenor for how this community interacts and our goals and our aspirations. Part of it is something that Mark and I and Mike Suarez share, and that is we have young kids. And for not generations, for probably a decade, the one-way street leaving the state of Florida to places like Austin and Charlotte and Raleigh, where our kids were having to leave this community and leave this state because there weren't opportunities for them, was a one-way street. It's not that way now. And it's not that way because of people like Tony and companies like Tribridge. I mean, I know when I came to this job, it was my intention to change Tampa's economic DNA. That we had just come through the wreckage of the worst recession since the Great Depression, and we had been a state that was like crack addicts for real estate. I mean, we built subdivisions for people that didn't exist. We were entirely dependent on the transactional nature of the real estate business and construction for the sake of construction. Not trying to create jobs that would add value, not trying to create jobs that would allow us to compete with other emerging technology communities, not trying to create the kinds of jobs that would allow our best and brightest kids, the best asset that we have, that we had exported to other cities, to stay here in our community. And not only to stay here in our community, but to bring their friends back here as well. Announcements like this and companies like Tribridge have helped us change the dynamic in this community. Young people are flocking here to be a part of this experiment that we call Tampa Bay. They're filling up the condos in downtown Tampa. They're populating the bars and the restaurants. They're allowing our entertainment centers and our parks and our waterfront to be activated and energized. But it's because they now have hope that they have not only a better future, but they have a job that warrants the education that, as parents, we gave them. That's what's going to change our economic DNA as a state. It's not building more subdivisions. It's creating more companies like this and doing whatever we can do as government to help facilitate the growth of technology companies to create the value-added kinds of jobs that will allow Grace and Colleen Buckhorn to stay in Tampa, Florida, and to bring their friends here as well. So this is important. This is how we create our destiny. We don't create our destiny by building more subdivisions. We create a new chapter in Tampa's existence by creating companies like this and doing whatever we have to we can do to encourage and facilitate that growth. It's important. It will make a difference 10, 15, 20 years down the road. So Tony, congratulations. I know how hard you worked to get here. I know what this office looked like when you first started out. It didn't have a stage. There were no cameras and there were no lights. And there were 3 of you. This is a success story. This is a Tampa success story. You are a success story, and we could not be prouder. We need to multiply you tenfold. Keep giving back to those who are coming behind you. Just as someone helped you along the way, you have a moral obligation to help someone else along the way, because we all benefit. When we create that cluster, when we attract that talent that can go from one company to another, you start to attract not only smart people, but you start to attract capital. You start to attract other companies that want to feed off what is taking place right here. This is great news. This is what we set out to do 3.5 years ago. This is what Mark has been doing for the last 4 years. It's working. We can't stop now. We've got our swagger back. Let's get moving. I want 200 more next year. All right, let's go.
Mayor, I've noticed as my sons are getting a little older, I don't know if you guys know, I have 4 sons about the age of his daughters, that he quit even acknowledging that I have kids. Yeah, he looked over there, and no, Alan doesn't have kids. He didn't even have boys.
Boys are not allowed here.
They're beautiful girls. I think I have handsome sons. I take after their mother, I think it is. Well, I'm Alan Brinkman with the Hillsborough Economic Development Corporation, and on behalf of, obviously, the Hillsborough Development Economic Corporation, I want to thank the county, the city, for their great work and partnership. We're so lucky in Tampa to have, wonderful leadership. We really are, and as Tony said, working in multiple cities, you just do not see this kind of collaboration and CEOs helping other CEOs be successful as a competitor. That's a unique space we're in. I first met Tony. We were actually at my house one night, which was kind of funny. We were looking across the bay, and right out of my living room window, I look at Derek Jeter's house. And how, that's intimidating as it is. Obviously, this massive mansion. And I was telling Tony, I said, my sons always say, "Dad, how come we can't have that mansion?" I said, not a baseball player, not built to be a baseball player, never will be a baseball player. Sorry. Then they meet Tony. "Dad, how come you can't have a cool technology company?" I'm like, "Guys, I'm doing the best I can. Doing the best I can. I'm trying really, really hard." But in that same sentence, as we just heard about, it's great to hear, because my sons may have the opportunity to stay in Tampa and do something they love. And as you know, this generation is very much users of technology. And technology, as Mark said, we're really on the tip of the iceberg. I think about these $4 million branches we used to build all over the place. Those $4 million branches fit into your phone, into an app today, and do basically the same stuff. And that's revolutionary. Gives customers ease. And what Tony is doing is really providing a better life for us every day to go about doing the things we do. And I'm very fortunate, I think, to have landed in Tampa about 4 years ago. I came right after the storm. To Tampa. There was a lot of shrapnel out there from the real estate collapse. There was a lot of things that didn't look very optimistic. And as I got to meet the leadership that's been assembled, I'm so fortunate to be here and be part of something that I think is revolutionizing the way people look at Florida, quite frankly, and more importantly, look at Tampa. As I travel, I tend to travel a lot for my job across the United States, and it used to be, yeah, Tampa the cigar city, that's kind of cool, or Tampa the beaches, that's kind of cool, but you're starting to hear people say the Tampa the business place, that's really cool. And as Tony said, if we can continue to attract that kind of audience, this place has no limits to be not only a great place to live. We always tend to say, hey, it's a cool quality of life, and it is, but it's also a cool place to do business. And that's the absolute mechanism you need to create a wonderful place for people to grow up. So Tony, thank you, as always, for providing us with a great vehicle to shine on Tampa, and more importantly, I'm looking forward to another 200, 400, 800, and as he is a nice client of ours, that helps us as well.